Hey guys, Ernest Langdon here with Mitchell and Tessah Booth. And today we want to talk to you guys about range etiquette and best practices for your next trip to the range. So guys, what is the things that people should be thinking about when they're getting ready to go to the range? We probably need to start there before we actually get to the range, correct?
Yeah, I think one of the first things to think about is what you're going to wear to the range. And I think there's three things that we should consider there. We want to be wearing a hat. And for ladies, we want to be wearing something that is kind of a higher neck. You don't want to wear a lower neck top. And for guys, you don't want to be wearing something that has a collar. The reason for that is because there's going to be things kind of flying around, things like brass. And brass is a little bit warm and it will get toasty if it's touching your skin. So we want to wear a hat because we don't want the brass to get behind our eye protection. So that's going to help mitigate that from happening. We want to wear a higher neck top and we want to avoid collared shirts so that there's nothing to kind of funnel brass into our shirt. So we're not having to deal with that roasty toasty experience to our skin.
And I think the big thing with the roasty toasty is it'll be uncomfortable, like maybe it'll leave a little bit of a blister, but what we really want to avoid is if you're on the line and you're being distracted by some sort of pain, we want to make sure that, as we're distracted by that we're not doing something that's unsafe with a firearm that we might be holding or around someone else that's handling a firearm. If we have, a high neck shirt, something that's not funneling brass down against our skin, we're much more likely to avoid that because the brass will hit your shoulder and roll right off onto the ground.
Correct. You mentioned eye protection. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to cover our eyeballs with and why.
Right, yeah. So when it comes to eye protection, you don't want to be using something that's just, your simple, reading glasses or whatever you're wearing on the day-to-day. You don't want to bring your Ray-Bans to the range. Ideally, you want something that is, rated a pair of safety glasses, because we've got little explosions going on, about 2 feet from our face. So there's a lot of high velocity things kind of going on near us. And there's, if we were shooting at steel targets, there's, spall coming back at us potentially. And those things are generally harmless to the rest of our body, but our eyes are, especially susceptible to being damaged by stuff like that. So we want to wear a pair of safety glasses to preserve our eyesight.
Correct. Remember that slide is going back at a very high rate. And again, as you said, explosions going off. And there could be even little pieces of unburnt powder and things that are coming back. And you wouldn't even notice it if it hit your face. But if it hits your eyeball, it could be damaging. So you want to have some sort of safety eye protection on when you're at the range. When it comes to ear protection, a couple things for you guys. If you're going to the range for the first time, highly recommend that you double up at the range. And the reason for that is it is going to be loud. And if you're not used to it, the more you can mitigate that sound, the less intimidating it is for you as a shooter. So the less chances of you inducing, a micro flinch and being scared of it. So the foamies that go in your ears, as well as the big Mickey Mouse ears that go on top of that to cover your ears up, keeps things a lot quieter. Protect your hearing, obviously, but it also makes it for a much more pleasurable shooting experience.
Yeah. I find that that's especially helpful for indoor too.
Absolutely.
Very nice for outdoor, but almost necessary for indoor shooting because there's more vibration. It's generally feels louder. So double plugging is awesome in that scenario.
100% agree. And on that note, when it comes to hearing protection, if you're gonna go get instruction from someone or you're gonna go to a training class, I highly recommend spending the money on some electronic hearing protection, because then basically what it does is it amplifies the sound into your ears so you can hear what someone is saying. But when the gun goes off, it turns that off, it switches it off electronically so that it still protects your ears. And that allows you to hear what's going on around you. You can hear the instruction, you can hear range commands, things of that nature. But when the gun fires, it still protects your ears. So really good investment from an early on standpoint. And the good news is they're not crazy expensive anymore. You can get them for a very reasonable price.